welcome everyone. I'm going to start our intro. I'll go slow so those joining can have a minute to file in. But this is our 5.0 release office hours for GrowthBook, and I'm very, very excited, as I mentioned, about the lineup. I have some housekeeping. The session, of course, is being recorded. And if you've registered for the webinar and are here, then you will receive the session recording, or if you're not here, it will just be sent out in an email blast afterwards. We do have the chat, as you all have already partaken in, but we also have questions in the Q&A. So if you have like a quick comment you want to throw it in the chat, that's fine. Let's try to stick questions in the Q&A so that I can organize them and the team can get them in a timely manner. We will have time for Q&A at the very end, but if something is super pertinent to what we're talking about, or I feel like it would be relevant for everyone to know in that moment, I'll also try to bring them up on the fly. So interact as much as you please. We'd love to hear from you. And then at the very end, there will be a survey that pops up to ask you how your experience was with this webinar so that we can improve for the next office hours. So we'd love to hear from you as that. Without further ado, I'm going to do a brief overview of the lineup, and then we'll jump into our first session today. I am super, super excited to bring on not only both founders, but some engineers that had firsthand in helping create this 5.0 launch. So we have Graham and Jeremy, our co-founders, and Luke, Omar, Michael, Lilia, and we have Michael Samber and Michael Knowlton joining us today from the engineering team in their respective product teams. So for our agenda, very packed. I want to keep us on time today. We're hoping to hit under the hour mark for everyone's convenience. We have the new visual editor. We have an agentic experience overview that we'll be touching on. Our streamlined experiment creation, which is actually pretty impressive. The funnel analysis, product analytics dashboard, feature flag governance, experiment query performance, and then of course at the very end, some time for the live Q&A that was promised. So if your questions don't get answered, or if you don't think of them, like just throw them in as you have them, and then we will collect those for the very end. There is also the speaker lineup is listed here, the teams that everyone is on. I'll bring this up during Q&A so that we can kind of have that active. But I think without further ado, I can stop screen sharing and we can bring on our very first guest. So let's put on, 1 second, let me get my screen off. So Graham, if you could go ahead and turn on your camera and your mic, and also probably share your screen, because I think you've got some pretty cool visual stuff to show.
Yeah, hey everybody.
Hey.
I'm Graham, one of the co-founders. Nice to meet you all. Happy to have you here to show you all the cool features.
I am very excited. So Graham McNichol is co-founder and CEO of GrowthBook, and he's going to be talking about the new visual editor that he built from the ground up. So very excited for the walkthrough that you're going to do with us today, Graham. Do we see your screen? Yes, I do. I see it, and it looks lovely.
Yeah, so we've rebuilt our new visual editor. If you read our blog post, it goes into great detail about sort of why we built it. But just briefly, the visual editor allows non-technical folks to easily be able to run experiments on a visual or on a client-side application like a website. You can also implement the SDK on the edge, and we'll go into that if you have any questions on that as well. Yeah, so the visual editor is a Chrome extension. I've already installed it, so I'll just show you how it works here. When you first install it, you have to connect it to your GrowthBook account. It'll ask you if you have multiple orgs, you can connect to the right one. And that's it. So now we're connected. I'm going to close this tab and go back to our website here. Yeah, so now we can create experiments. The visual editor is AI first. So let's create an experiment for the entire GrowthBook website here. And now we can just describe what we want. So let's say like come up with some alternative titles that focus on how GrowthBook is used by the best companies on earth. Yeah, so that's gonna send your request, it's also going to send some context about the page that you're on and apply some of the learning, some of the things that we have from previous experiments, and then use that to give you some smarter results here. So we can choose one of these that we like. I actually don't like most of these, but let's go with one of them anyway. We can actually have a conversation too. You can say, I don't like these, and go back and forth on those. Yeah, so we can quickly apply changes like changes in text. We can change colors. We can also do things like, kind of crazy stuff like, make the background.
No, psychedelic.
Psychedelic, if I can spell that correctly. Psychedelic.
You picked a bold word.
This is all live, by the way. We're not pre-recording any of this. So we'll see what that comes up with. So you can really express your creativity here in yeah, that's pretty bold, sort of more expressive way, and then have conversations, and then sort of redesign your site. You can move elements around as well. I will show you one of the cool things that we built on GrowthBook. I'm going to switch over to a different tab here. Is our image editor. So this is a website, Skyscanner. Let's pick we'll do a new experiment on Skyscanner. So one thing we can do here is we have a pretty cool image editor. So we can choose any image we want in like a manual selector here. And let's see, did we get the right element? Yes. So here we have the image set as a background image, and we can actually like change it. So Alyssa, do you want to add anything to this image?
I really like either a whale or a pelican, if I can
Pelican?
speak. Yeah.
Whale.
You're going for both.
Yeah.
This man is bold.
Okay, so one of the cool things in GrowthBook, you can actually use the current image as context, which will send not only the size, but like the actual image to the AI, and it'll actually modify it. So if there's some image you have, but you want to modify it slightly, that's a great way to do it. We can also say do a few different variants here. So we'll come up with 3 different variants, and then we can just generate that. It takes a little bit of time because it's doing 3 different image generation requests.
And then these are where the image is stored.
Yeah, so when you first generate them, they're stored kind of temporarily on our end. And then as soon as you choose accept, we'll actually copy that over to our public S3 bucket. And then that will be like served through our CDN. So you don't have to do anything else. Like it'll work perfectly. Yeah, so you got your pelican and your whale there. Now, we weren't very specific. Like obviously AI does a lot better if you're more specific, but it pretty much nailed it. One of the cool things is that this 35% off is actually in text in the image, and it preserved that completely. The AI generator that we're using, or the image generator we're using, is actually like really accurate with text as well. I know a lot of generators just make it look like some sort of alien script, but this one actually works pretty well. So we can just click use this image, and that will copy that over to our CDN, and now that's like publicly visible. And yeah.
You've got a couple of comments. Ed was saying that this is really slick. I love the workflow in the sidebar. And Tony was asking, when using the AI editor, where does our prompt get processed? Is it on the GrowthBook infrastructure or a third party? And how do we get priced on those?
Yeah, so well, if you're using our cloud, all of those settings are done in the AI and prompt settings here. So one of the cool things is we actually give you the ability to add additional context with any visual editor request. So if there's certain things you want it to do, or don't touch our logo, or like don't use these colors, or whatever it is, you can actually add additional context here that will affect every prompt that's done. The model that you're using, if you're using our cloud, we choose that based on performance. I believe we're currently using one of the, I actually don't know what we're currently, I think it's OpenAI's one of the 5.4, but I'll have to double check on that. If you are self-hosting, you can actually choose the model. You can choose the model specifically just for the visual editor and for the image generator as well. Was there another part to that question?
Just curious on how the pricing works for this. So like this is part of, is
Yeah,
it just
it's
part of Pro and
part of
Enterprise?
Pro. Enterprise also gets this as well. I believe we're not currently charging for token usage, so have fun while that lasts.
Go
Uh,
wild.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah. Just a few other quick things. This is actually our first multi-language editor, so you can put it into different languages if your technical team likes to use. This is in Portuguese, but yeah, uses different languages. It will do that as well. It's also dark mode. As engineers, I couldn't build something without a dark mode attached.
And then what is the difference between, just briefly, can you touch on the AI and the manual editor mode? Like when do we reach for which one?
Yeah, so the AI mode is actually very smart, and it can affect a lot of things. Like you can give it additional context. I can say like, change this image, make this image a picture. Oh dear. Um, yeah, so actually you can do additional context, and so you can really target the changes specifically. The manual mode is like if you know exactly what you want to do, you can go to manual mode and just modify really anything about like an element. So the class names, the selectors, paddings, margins, anything like that. You can
Yeah, I've
even
noticed you've
modify.
done a lot of work on like even like the tree that you can go through and select on the DOM.
Yeah, so in the manual mode, I'll just see if this is going to finish here. But in the manual mode, you can. Oh, I got that. Okay, well, it got the image of the beagle there in the background there. Um, really making a mess of our website. In the manual mode, you can select an element, and if you get the wrong element, we have this tree selector here that will help you zero in on exactly what element that you want to change. A few other things here quickly, like you can quickly preview the different variants, and you can add additional variants as well. You can also like duplicate this variant and then modify this one. Uh, as you see fit. And then all the changes, as everything in GrowthBook is extremely transparent. So here are the changes that we've made. You can, we can just turn on or off the specific change to see what it looks like without that, or we can edit it specifically. So everything's very transparent. We don't try to do anything magical in the background.
I absolutely love this. Is there anything else you want to make sure to hit on?
Uh, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, when you're happy with this, like you'll go back to GrowthBook, and then you can see all the different variants we've made for this test. You can look at all the preview. You can see all the changes that we've made, and then when you're ready, you can click save or sorry,
Beautiful.
start the test. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Graham. I've had a chance to work closely with you throughout this launch, gathering customer feedback and answering questions, and watching you turn that into like new features and updating things so that this experience for our customers is stellar has been really cool. I think that level of care comes through in the product really like obviously. So the visual editor gives more people the freedom to quickly just turn their ideas into real experiments without having to sacrifice on that transparency or that control or performance. So I can't wait to see what our customers create. So thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Awesome. Next up, we have Omar. Please welcome Omar El Sheikh, engineer on the feature flag team here at GrowthBook. Omar is going to be walking us through the GrowthBook 5.0 agentic experience. So let's see, do we have Omar's camera and screen? I think we do.
Yep.
I believe that's your screen on the skills.
Yes. Yep.
Slay. Welcome, Omar.
Awesome.
How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you. Yeah, so I'll talk through our new agentic experience that we're building out. And at the core of that experience is our new skills repo. So now we have an official skills repo that you can ingest. Um, and for background, if people aren't familiar with skills, they're basically markdown files that you feed to your AI agents so that they have some context on how to officially interact with GrowthBook. So I can go through a few of our skills that we support here. The team has come together to build these skills, so each individual domain expert has kind of filled out skills for their domains. So right now you can do a lot of the core features in GrowthBook, like interacting with flags, feature flags. You can create them, toggle them, clean them up, modify them, read them. Same with experiments. It'll even help you brainstorm experiments, update those experiments, launch them, and then analyze how previous experiments have done. So there's really a lot you can do with these skills. And then we also have a couple on product analytics as well that we're building out. So like I mentioned, this is the core of our agentic experience. So our in-app agent, which I will also show off in this presentation, and then our MCP server all leverage these core skills. So as we continue to build them out, they're going to improve all the different interfaces that we have. And this is also published to NPM. So installation is super easy. It's usually just a single command that you can run, and all the popular AI agent frameworks work with it. So if you're using Claude Code or Cursor or Codex, they all support skills. So yeah, let me show off the in-app agent as well that utilizes these skills. Quick. Cool. So we have a demo environment here, and the nice part about the in-app assistant is you don't have to set anything up. As long as you have a GrowthBook account, you can log in and view the AI assistant. And like I mentioned, it has all the same capabilities that I just mentioned that the skills have. And this uses your session in the browser. So as long as you're logged in, it'll act as if it's you, and it'll have the same permissions as you. So let me do a quick example of, let's say, let me know how the onboarding checklist experiment went. So this is an experiment that has already run and stopped. So I'm just curious how it went. And so it went ahead and found the results. You can see that it won decisively, and it gives me all the metrics around that experiment, and it even gives me a link. And another thing I forgot to mention is that the AI assistant also has context of what page you're on. So if I'm viewing an experiment or viewing a particular feature and I have questions about that feature, I can go ahead and directly ask it, and it will have the context of that. And another thing the AI assistant can do is it can create things for you as well. So if I wanted it to create a feature, which I could also demo real quick, let's say a feature flag for me that will gate our new pricing section. It should be able to quickly do this for me, which is just like a shortcut instead of manually creating the feature. And you can see it's asking me to confirm since this is a mutating request. And so this is a feature of our in-app assistant to make sure everything is safe. It'll confirm with the user before it tries to make any changes. So I can go ahead and confirm this, and it's created a new pricing section. It even gives me a link to it. So this is the new feature that we just created. And we can also create experiments off of this, and then, like I said, launch them, see how they're doing. And so yeah, we're going to continue to improve on our skills and our REST API. And as we improve on both of those, all three services of our agentic experience will improve. So that's the skills repo if you're using that directly, or the MCP or the in-app agent. They're going to continue to get smarter.
That's
Thanks.
really cool. Do you have a favorite biggest time saving as far as like whether it's answering questions from the current page, summarizing old experiments, or like saying like stale flags? Like, is there anything that's like your absolute favorite for using the in-app assistant for?
Yeah, I think experiments can be complicated, and so it holds your hand throughout the experience. If you want to create an experiment or just see how one's doing, it's really helpful.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited for this. Thank you so much, Omar, for all of the thoughtful work that you and the team put behind our upgraded agentic experience. You've made it easier for people to work with GrowthBook wherever they are, while keeping them informed and in control. And I really am, like you said, excited to see where skills go next. So thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you.
All right. Next up, please welcome, I'm doing a little drum roll, Michael Sandberg, engineer at GrowthBook on our experimentation team. Michael today will be talking about the streamlined experiment creation, what's a mouthful, that he and the team have worked on and is a part of the 5.0 release. Welcome, Michael. How are you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. I can see you, hear you, and I think that's your screen. So I think we're
Beautiful.
good to go.
Yes, it is. Awesome. Cool. Let's dive right in. So for those of you that are familiar with our experiment creation flow prior to 5.0, you may be a little familiar with this kind of daunting modal. Our old experiment creation flow experience used to be a 4-step, 20-something field creation modal that required you to make upfront decisions about experiment metadata, traffic allocation, targeting, metrics, data source, and experiment assignment table, which is, like I said, daunting. And also, you might just not have the answer to all of these things up front. So what we've gone ahead and done is we've simplified it to just 6 fields, even less if you are not using templates or holdouts. So now all you have to decide is your experiment name, the project that it's going to be in, template and holdout if you're using them, hypothesis, and assignment attribute. We've also gone ahead and added some magic behind the scenes. So when you select an assignment attribute, we try to do our best to select a data source automatically. So if you have just one data source, or if you have a default data source, we'll select that for you. And then with your experiment assignment table, we'll do our best to select that automatically as well. And you can see the call out that is showing up here below prompts you to link your assignment attribute to an identifier type so that we can do that for you in the future automatically. So why don't we go ahead and get started and create a experiment so you can also see what's changed on the experiments overview page. Let's go ahead and create. Beautiful. So again, if you are used to experimenting on GrowthBook prior to 5.0, you may notice some things have changed. The first thing I'm going to call out is how traffic allocation looks like now. So we have changed traffic allocation to be rendered as a kind of diagram visual that lets you see how traffic is flowing through your experiments. We've also gone ahead and moved our pre-launch checklist, which previously lived at the top of this page, into this sort of ever-present drawer while your experiment is in draft, to give you an idea of what is left to be done on the experiment configuration. Our hope is that now when you land on this page, it's a lot easier to collaborate with folks, and different folks that are landing on the page can see what is left to be configured. Something else that I'll call out as well is we now have the summary view as well when you go to start an experiment that lets you see what pre-launch checklist tasks are left to be completed. In this case, you can see I have 2, the same ones that are in the drawer. We also give you a summary of your traffic allocation and targeting when it's configured. And we'll also give you a summary as well of any link changes. And we'll see that once we do some configuration. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's set up some targeting. Let's say that I would like to target our beta users. Beautiful. And let's say I want to add a variation. You can now do that in line through this add button here. So we can see that it added variation too. You can verify that your splits look as expected. In this case, I want equal splits across my variations. Awesome. Let's select an experiment assignment table. In this case, it wasn't able to be automatically selected because, as you saw before, we haven't set up the linkage between our assignment attribute and our identifier type. But if you do that, you'll get that automatically in the future, which is awesome. Let's select a goal metric. Beautiful. And then the last step that we have in our pre-launch checklist is selecting a links change. In this case, I would like to do a link feature flag. And let's select this feature flag that I created prior to this demo. Awesome. Cool. So once you've completed all of your pre-launch checklist steps, you get this beautiful green check mark on your pre-launch checklist, letting you know that you're good to go. As a reminder for our enterprise customers, you can actually go into your org settings and configure custom pre-launch checklist steps as well, if there are some steps that you would like to add that match the way that your company does experimentation or your team. So with that being said, we are good to go. We have the green check mark on our pre-launch checklist. Let's go ahead and start the experiment. And now you can see that the pre-launch checklist items that showed up before in the start experiments modal are gone because they are complete. We have a summary of our traffic with our 3 variation splits, our save group targeting, as well as the link feature that I added. And this looks good to me. So let's go ahead and get started. Awesome. And we got the the confetti, which is actually random. You don't know when you're going to get the confetti. Sometimes you randomly get this confetti on your screen, which is kind of fun. Yeah, so our hope is that with this new experiment creation flow, it'll be easier for our users to create new experiments without that super daunting 4-step flow. We're also hoping that this new creation flow, sorry, makes it easier for folks to collaborate on configuring the experiment. And yeah, our hope is ultimately that you are running more experiments. So happy experimentation, everyone.
Beautiful. So we do have a question. Tanya was wondering, can I still adjust the experiment key afterwards? And it was earlier during your demo.
Yes, yes, you can do that. And I believe you can do that in your analysis settings. Yeah. We just automatically select one for you up front, but you're more than welcome to edit it after creation.
This is really, really cool. You've reduced the upfront creation flow by more than 20 fields, and it's mind-boggling. So that's awesome. I think that's all the questions for now. If you have any other questions for Michael, send them in, and we'll have them during our Q&A round at the very end. But like I said, you've dramatically improved the experimentation flow. So thank you so much for all the things that you and your team have done. And we'll see you in the Q&A. Thanks. All right, next up, please welcome Lilia Jackson, software engineer at GrowthBook on the product analytics team. She's going to be walking us through funnel analysis updates on the 5.0 release. How are you doing, Lilia?
Hi, Alyssa. I'm doing well. How are you?
Also well. I
Great.
see and hear you. You look great, and I can see your screen. So I think we're good to go for
Perfect.
your demo.
Ready to go. Yeah, we have some tough acts to follow. Lots of good stuff coming out in 5, but I'm excited to show everybody funnel analysis. I think this is a really great feature that'll be really informative for our users. Just to give a little background about the problem space, I think one of the challenges we often face when looking at our conversion data is we have sort of the beginning and the end piece. So we can see when users visited our product and then when they successfully completed. But what's missing often is this middle story of where our users are having trouble, where people are falling off. Maybe there's an error that we need to investigate. So funnels allows us to kind of dig into that data more. And I'm going to show you how to build one in about 4 minutes. So here we go. So you'll see I can access the funnel builder tool under the product analytics tab. It's called Funnel Builder, which makes it very easy. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select a data source. So this can be any of our SQL-based data sources that we have set up. I'm using sample data for now. And then we'll get to these in a second, but just a little high level. These are our views for funnels, which is a bar chart like funnel view and then a funnel table. And then we can also break down our view of the data between percent and unit count, which can be really useful when looking at like a high level, what is the difference versus actual numbers and our drop off. So we're going to start with making our first step. So I'm going to select a fact table. And again, these can be any of the fact tables that have been set up for that data source. We'll go with page views for this one. And then we select a filter. So we're going to do path, which is one of our columns on that fact table. And we'll start with our entry step, which for us is going to be visiting like our home page. And you can see from here that we also have our ability to select a identifier, and this is sort of how you're following a user through the process. So this doesn't have to be user ID, but in our case, this is the one that we have set up for this fact table. So from there, we add a second step. We'll say we go to search. And you'll notice at this point that we are able to analyze our funnel. All funnels have to be at least 2 steps, otherwise that's not a funnel. And then we'll say we're interested in, from search, how many people went to item 4. And then from there, how many people checked out. And then finally, and maybe most importantly, our success stage. So how many people were able to successfully complete checkout as well. And from there, we'll start with a 90-day look back. We have all of our usual sort of date adjustments here, and we'll analyze the funnel. So as you can see, we were able to get our data in sort of this bar chart that allows us to compare from previous steps. So our entry is always 100%. That's who started the funnel. And then you can see where people started to maybe drop off. Not a lot of people were going to item 4 from search. So if that was important to you, you would maybe want to start looking into ways to sort of boost item 4 from that search. But one thing we can also do if we're interested in who completed the checkout flow successfully from search and just kind of want to know as a tangent who also visited item 4, we have the ability to come in here and make this an optional step. So you'll see after I hit refresh and this gets our data back. Takes a second sometimes. You'll see how that affected our checkout metric here now. So we're able to see, how many people went to item 4 from search versus how many people went from search to checkout. So you can kind of play with your views that way, which can be really helpful. Additionally, we can also say that we wanted people to hit the checkout page within a week of doing that search. So we can also add a conversion window, and a conversion window is just a period of time in which we want someone to go from one step to the next. And that is available on all of our steps. And then one of the last things I want to show here is just our group by feature. So we can add a dimension here based on the dimensions we have set up for that fact table. And I'm going to say, let's group these by country, and we can refresh again. And you'll notice additionally, as I'm doing these refreshes, that we also have a table view of all of our data. So we have the numbers there as well, which can be really helpful. Give it a moment.
It also doesn't help when you're live.
Gives you a good moment to eat a snack or, take a sip of water. There we go. So we have our dimension now broken down by country here. So you can see the key up here and how that affects our different counts. So you could also see based on dimension, maybe more users in the UK are struggling to get to item 4 versus in the US or something like that. So it really helps you drill into the data in a very accessible way, which can be awesome when you're trying to, up those conversion metrics. You have your typical, same with all product analytic dashboards. You can save this to a dashboard, which allows you to, set them up as you see with other features that we have out. And then you can also link this and share it to other users and stuff, as long as they're a part of the same Oregon project, of course. So yeah, that's funnels in a nutshell. I hope it's as much fun for everyone to dive into as it was for me.
Excellent. I have a couple questions for you. One I'm going to save for the Q&A, but this one, Tanya asked, this is great. Can the steps come from different fact tables?
Yeah, so when we first set up, the fact table that we select here will automatically be inherited through each of these steps, but you are able to edit that in a different step. So if you wanted to follow this user and the metric was on a different fact table, you could change that fact table. So
beautiful. Thank you so much, Lilia. The funnel analysis is really cool, how it's just turning this huge pile of numbers into an actual clear story of what's going on. So thank you for the work that you and the team have done around this, and we'll see you in the Q&A.
Thanks, Alyssa. Good to see you.
All right, next up is Michael Knowlton, software engineer at GrowthBook on the product analytics team. Michael will be talking about product analytics and the product analytics dashboard, which he's worked on as part of the GrowthBook 5.0 release. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited that product analytics is generally available now.
So excited. And I think you look good, sound good, and I believe that's your screen. So I think you're good to go for your demo.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So product analytics is now generally available. You saw the funnel builder. And when we sought out to kind of introduce product analytics, we thought about all of the hard work that our organizations have already done with building fact tables and then building metrics off of those fact tables. And up until now, the metrics were really impactful in analyzing experiments, but it felt like there was also a lot of untapped potential and value. So with product analytics, we wanted to see how we could help organizations leverage these shared definitions that they've built outside of just an experiment. So maybe you want to just check that your active learners on an ongoing basis. Product analytics can help with that. So there's a number of different entry points. Here I'm on a metric, and you can see this new Open and Explore button. And you can click on that, and this is a very similar screen to what Lilia was just showing, to where now we can kind of view our active learners over the past 30 days in this case. Maybe we want to compare that to the previous period to just kind of make sure everything is good. And maybe instead of that, we want to look at it by dimension. So we want to look at active learners, in this case, by plan type. So it's really powerful. And as Lilia mentioned, you can save it to a dashboard. You can also copy a link. As you customize an exploration, the URL updates automatically. So if you want to share this with a colleague, you can then just share the exploration directly with them, and it will have the exact same configuration as long as your colleague has permission to view everything. So it's really powerful. You can do from a metric page, you can open the Explorer from a fact table page. We have the same option and even from a data source. But I think the easiest way to get started is with our AI tools. So this is very similar to what Omar demoed earlier, but this is specific for your data and to build visualization. So you can say, I think this prompt is great. So you can say, can you show me revenue over the past 30 days? And we'll come in and make sure we're looking at the ed tech. And this is a little bit of a wild card because we don't actually have a revenue metric, but we have one that's kind of similar. Okay, cool. It found it. So it found the tuition per user. So let's go with option 1. And you can just chat back and forth, and now the AI agent can actually generate an Explorer just like we did manually, and nothing is a black box. So if you then want to come in and tweak this, you can click the Open and Explore, and that's where you can come in and make additional changes as needed. And I think this is really powerful just mainly because your organization has done the hard work of defining the metrics. And I've been at organizations before where different business units in the business have ever so slightly different definitions of what tuition per learner in this case is. And so all of these exploration blocks are great in and of themselves, but where everything comes together is with our dashboards. So dashboards are a collection of blocks, and each block it can be from a metric, or we have different types like this markdown block. And it allows you as the organization to kind of build a a really data-rich view of exactly what's important to your organization. When it comes to editing the blocks, if you, for instance, needed more fidelity in the tuition by plan, everything's drag and drop to where you can make it exactly what you need it to be. And just like the explorers, you can change the look back windows for an entire block and do all sorts of things. So these are all of the block options available for product analytics. We've put together some quick little tool tips to show you when you might want to use them. And we have a number of different chart types. So if instead of a line chart, you wanted an area chart, or if you wanted to look at things cumulatively, you could come in here and change it to a bar chart, and then it will look at rather within the 30-day range, it'll add everything together. And with dashboards, you can update all of the metrics and blocks independently, or you can also schedule this to automatically refresh. So you can say, refresh it whenever it's 6 hours old, or you can build a cron schedule. And in this case, we can have it update at 6 a.m. every day. And with dashboards, you can also customize view access. So you can have private dashboards. You can also have public dashboards, but you can lock down who can edit, or you can update it and make it available for everyone if your plan allows it. So dashboards are a pro level feature, and then the fully public dashboards, that is an enterprise level feature. Yeah, very excited. We have a number of additional improvements and ideas to make dashboards even more powerful that I'm very excited to get to work on soon.
I absolutely adore this. Do you have any best practices or advice for how teams decide like what metrics belong in a dashboard versus one-off exploration?
I think anything, if you're finding that you're running it over and over and over, I would add it to a dashboard. And then the thing that I like to do is kind of have the different dashboard sections with the markdown blocks. So just to kind of mentally kind of help me shift gears as I'm looking at a dashboard.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Michael. These dashboards really do make it easier to turn these trusted metrics into something teams can explore and keep
Yeah,
reusing
absolutely.
easily. So thank you for the work you and yours have done on this. We appreciate it. All right, please welcome next Jeremy Dorn, our co-founder and CTO of GrowthBook, to talk about feature flag governance in GrowthBook 5.0.
All right. Yeah. Hey, everyone.
Hey,
yeah, super
Jeremy,
excited
how
to
are
be
you
here.
doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing
Good.
well. All right, I can hear
Well,
and
so
see
let me,
you. I don't have a screen yet, though.
all right. How about now?
Looks good.
Great. Yeah. So I'm here to talk about feature flag governance. And really, this is about safely using feature flags at scale. Yeah, we have customers with hundreds, thousands of engineers, and they're all creating their own feature flags. And every bug or typo slows you down and might impact your users. And so we added a lot into 5.0 to let you add guardrails around this process so that, yeah, you can make sure that feature flags are being created safely and not impacting your product. And with the rise of agents, this problem's only gotten worse. There's kind of less oversight. Every engineer is creating more features and more flags. More mistakes are getting made. And so, yeah, it's just more and more important as things progress there. Yeah, so I wanted to start with first one just on JSON schema validation. So we've had this for a long time for JSON flags, but we recently added it as well for string and number flags. And so I have a feature flag here for color, just has a default value of red. It's very easy to make a mistake here if when I change the value to green and I spell it wrong, like there's nothing here to catch that typo that would otherwise get shipped to production. And so now we have a brand new validation tab. I'll talk about custom hooks in a second, but schema validation is the first one here. So I can enable that. You can either write like a full JSON schema or use our kind of simple builder here where, yeah, let's restrict it to red, green, yellow, a few different options. Let me publish this change of the feature. And now, if an agent tries to make a value that's not in that list, it'll get an error. And the really cool thing is in our UI here, instead of a freeform text field, now it's a dropdown. And so, we prevent mistakes from even reaching our API in the first place whenever we can. That's available for numbers as well. So if you need like min and max values or enforce certain ranges, you could do that. Cool. And yeah, I also want to talk about custom hooks. Are another feature that we've had for a little bit, but we've made a lot of improvements in 5.0. So first, let's go to global custom hooks. So custom hooks let you run custom JavaScript code every time a feature flag or experiment is being saved. And so it lets you enforce best practices for your organization. Let's add one now. Say I want to do it on feature flags, and let's say I want to require a description for every feature flag. So in this code here, I get access to a feature object. So I can just do not feature.description. Let's throw an error. Okay. I'm able to test this. I have a sample feature here. If I were to get rid of this description, I can see it throwing an error. Right, perfect. So let's save that. And now if I were to go on here and attempt to make one in the UI or anywhere, pick a Boolean flag. Okay, I get an error here, and I'll have to go in and add a description in order to save it. We've always had this type of hook. The one new thing in 5.0 is the ability to have kind of soft warnings in addition to a strict block in the UI. So now instead of throwing an error, I can just add a warning instead. And now if I do the same test, yeah, it'll be a soft warning instead of an error. And I'll show you what that looks like in the UI here. All right. So now, instead of fully blocking it, I get the warning in the UI and I can decide if I want to proceed or not. And the really cool thing is this also flows through to the REST API. So if an agent attempts to create a feature flag without a description, they're going to get an error back initially with instructions on how to bypass or correct the mistake that they made. And so we've really thought about both agent and human experience in this flow. And another new thing in 5.0 is the ability to have custom hooks on a specific feature flag. So those global ones are great. I have this complex JSON flag here. Oh, sorry. Let me go to the, I have this kind of complex JSON flag here with a lot of different fields. This one has a important tag on it. Let's say you do not want people to remove that tag. So I can go in validation and create a feature specific hook just for this one feature. Let's do if not tag or feature.tags.includes. Important. Let's throw an error there. Okay, great. Let me save that. So now if someone were to go into this feature and attempt to delete this tag and save, yeah, they'll get an error back. And so this lets you enforce really specific rules for complex features that are critical to your application. One more thing I want to talk about while I'm on this feature or this JSON flag is a sparse update. So prior to this release, if you were to add an override rule. Like let's say in this instance, you want to change the theme from dark to light, but kind of leave everything else alone. What that would require is copy pasting this entire object, making one small little change, and then, hoping you didn't mess something up in the rest of the copied fields. Now we have this sparse patch option, and you can even make this the default in your organization settings. And now you're just specifying the things that you want to change, nothing else. And we'll spread that into the bigger value at publish time. And so you can see, preview, I'm just changing mine, everything else inherits from the default value. So this can really help prevent mistakes and typos. And if someone later were to go in and change the default, assistant name, like I can do that now. Let's change it to Nova 2 here and see like that'll flow through to this rule. So because I didn't override it, I just did a patch on top. I'm able to safely update that. Last thing to show really quickly is our unreachable rules. So I have this feature flag here, serve A, if browser Chrome, override that to B. Now I have a rule here that's targeting Chrome, Firefox, and Safari. And I'm getting this warning that rule 1 already serves traffic when browser equals Chrome. And so it's letting me know that this targeting I set up is not actually going to apply like I thought it would, because some of those targeted users are being consumed by a rule previous to this. And this logic is really smart. It can detect a lot of complex interactions between rules. And in this case, I could see that in dev only, rule 2 is already serving Safari, so nothing's going to reach this at all. So it differentiates between, this rule is completely unreachable versus some users are going to flow through, but not who you thought would. So it's just one more way when you're reviewing a draft that an agent created, for example, you can quickly spot if they miss some complex interaction that is easy to go unnoticed otherwise. Yeah, so this is just a handful of things we shipped in 5.0. We have a lot more coming soon. And yeah, we really just want to make shipping feature flags at scale as safe as possible.
Well, there's honestly so much that went into this, like even just like how sparse patches seem like such a big quality of life improvement, or the governance in general. There's a lot to this. So thank you for walking through, and also for all the work that you and your team have done. This has been really great, Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, I think we have one last presenter. Please welcome Luke Sonnet, Head of Experimentation at GrowthBook, to talk about experiment query performance updates in GrowthBook 5.0.
Hello,
Luke, how are you doing? Hello.
I'm doing good, caffeinated, feeling good this
Amazing.
morning.
That's way better than me. I'm still working on my sad little cup, so I'll get there though. You sound and look great, and I can see your screen, so you're good to go, darling.
Great. Yeah, thanks everybody for being here. I'm going to talk briefly about all of the kind of behind the scenes improvements we've made to make experiment analysis work at enormous petabyte per day scale that some of our customers are running at. That's a huge scale. These customers are running, these GrowthBook users are running hundreds of experiments on this massive volume of data. And they're able to do so in a platform like GrowthBook that is flexible in the sense that for a metric, let's say you want to look at a conversion rate, and you want to look at it in like a 3-hour window, you can, do that if you would like to. Just say, hey, get those metrics in those first 3 hours. This immense flexibility means that the platform has to be able to run queries with very specific date ranges. When you get to a very large scale, that is an expensive computation to rerun all the time. And so we have been for a while working on this incremental refresh kind of pipeline mode that has been out for quite a while for BigQuery and Presto Trino data warehouses. And in 5.0, we've also released it for Snowflake warehouses, which I know a lot of our customers use. In short, the way this works is every update that we run, we are going to go ahead and scan some, new exposure, so only get some new data, from each of your tables, say your exposures, your new metric data, aggregate those together, and then use some existing cached data to produce your statistics. So we're caching data along the way in order to get each update the need to only scan a limited amount of data with each refresh. To enable this, for our enterprise customers, this is available to turn on your data source page. So for example, we have this Snowflake connection here in GrowthBook. You can just run down here to the data pipeline settings, and there's a variety of different approaches. The one I was just talking about is this incremental approach. You'll have to give us write permissions to your warehouse, and you can constrain that to a specific schema. So GrowthBook is only able to write into this one place to use as the cache for your metric computations. And once you set that up, we validate to make sure all the permissions are set up correctly. And then from then on, future experiments will be using this incremental mode. One nuance that we've also worked on in 5.0 is making this pipeline as efficient as possible. So there's a lot to cover in a limited time. But basically, one of the key tools available to experimenters in GrowthBook is Cupid, which uses pre-experiment data to improve the speed of your results. The way this works is we scan, let's say, 14 days before an experiment starts to get pre-experiment data. So this graph is showing days, you have time here on the x-axis, and your experiment, say, started at this kind of red line. Here you can see that we need these Cupid pre-exposure data for all 14 days on each update. So on the first update, we're going to get the 1 day of experiment data, but we need all of this data in the Cupid pre-experiment window. On the next update, with incremental refresh, we only need this new day, but we still need to rescan all this old data to look for those pre-experiment values for any new users that might have entered the experiment. Unfortunately, this can cause a lot of rescanning of the same data. And so in 5.0, we've also released the ability to essentially cut that down from 14 to 1 day of rescan on each update with some pre-aggregation techniques. This basically allows us to say, hey, the Cupid values are kind of pre-baked for everybody. Let's compute them up front and then reuse those on each update. This has resulted in some of our largest customers having this huge reduction in their experiment runtime, over 95%, because we're scanning way less data on each update. And then each analysis is also computing considerably faster. In the product, this is accessible on each fact table where you can do aggregation per fact table. If you go into edit, into your advanced settings here, you can start to materialize these aggregated tables for, say, your users, when that aggregation should happen. And then future experiments will use these pre-aggregated tables to make those incremental updates even faster than they were before. Yeah, so that's all I've got. Thanks.
Wow,
And excited for more improvements on the query side coming up.
It's insane. 80 to 90% is insane. At what point, like, what scale does cubed become like just not a useful optimization, but something that should be like a default? Like, is there a time when you shouldn't?
The only time it's not really useful is if you don't have any pre-existing data. So if there's new user traffic that you're working on, then it's not particularly useful. But for services where you have repeat users, where data that is in this period will often predict what happens next. So some of our GrowthBook customers, have these users who are coming in and using the product every day, using their service every day. Like, that's very powerful in those instances. But if it's if it's just a like account creation flow, then in those instances, Cupid would not be as powerful, and you can always turn it off per experiment, for example, in GrowthBook. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much, man. All right, I think that's all we have on Luke's side, but I think we do have some Q&A. So for Q&A, it might be kind of interesting. Everyone can turn on your camera, and I'm going to flash this screen real quick so that the audience can, and we're going to go over a little bit, if that's okay with everyone, because we went long. We're going over the hour, but camera's on, and I'm going to share our titles. I already have a couple questions, so Graham, you're definitely going to be on deck. So mentally prepare yourself. I have a couple questions for you, but we have Graham and Jeremy here, co-founder, CEO, and CTO, and then Omar, Luke, Michael, Lilia, and other Michael from engineering from the different teams. So send in your questions now if you have them. I'll make sure to get to them. But yes, Graham, for yours, you might actually have to screen share on yours. Question from the audience about the Figma button that we saw, but we didn't at all talk about. What is the Figma in the visual editor?
Yeah, I didn't demo that, but there's two other modes that we built into this visual editor to help those non-technical folks. One of them is if you have a mock-up of, say, a modal or some new image or section of the page you want to have built, you can directly link to your Figma account, kind of tell it what slice in Figma you want to enable, and then it will do its best to build that in HTML and inject it with the visual editor directly onto the page. So it does enable things like sale banners or changes to layouts and things like that it can build for you.
I've also used that because once you click on that Figma image mockup button, it allows you to upload an image. And so I've done that for to kind of give it an idea of a direction that I wanted it to go.
Yeah, I don't think I have it hooked up in this account yet, but you can connect it directly to your Figma account.
That's awesome. Very cool. Oh, one other for you, Graham. Can you talk about how this works with modern frameworks like React or some of the others?
Yeah, I'll show you. So one of the things that can happen with React and some of the more modern frameworks is that the class name that it generates when it generates the HTML of the page is actually dynamic. So some of those class names change every time you deploy a new version or you update something. And that causes an issue for a lot of visual editors because it has no persistent selector that it can use to consistently target an element on the page. And GrowthBook, we actually take that into account, and we will do our best to target and to try to identify if a selector is sort of ephemeral or not, and it will choose a stable selector that will be more consistent across deploys. So we actually handle that case automatically.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Graham. I think the next question might be for Luke. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Tanya was asking if, can I also add a built funnel to an experiment? How does this affect different testing approaches? Bandits, Cupid, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Is it Cupid or Cupid? Can we get a consensus from?
I'm a Cupid guy. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
torn. But yes, so can you talk a little bit about how does this affect different testing approaches?
Only because his arrow got me. There's no. So right now, funnels are not available for experimentation. Lilia is working on that as a follow-up to this release from Product Analytics. And once it lands there, they will be treated basically as kind of separate conversion metrics. So it won't have any kind of negative effects on your different testing approaches. There's no weird interactions. They're basically treated as kind of separate conversion metrics that are at each step. But yeah, that's in progress, part of our future release. So yeah, thanks. Great question.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, I know we are over on time. If you have any further questions, Slack them, email them. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'll get them to the right team member if anything comes up. I'm going to share my closeout screen. Team, you are free to cameras off if you'd like. Sharing the closeout screen song. Here we go. And I'll put it full screen in case you're getting your phone out to do the QR code that is available. But thank you so much for being here. If you were here live, if you're watching the recording, thank you as well. Stay connected. We have our LinkedIn and our GrowthBook.io /our community as well. And then this QR code is for to join our community today. So scan that if you're on mobile or if you have a mobile device near you. I think that's all for today. Thank you, everyone. And don't forget to fill out the survey question as it comes up. But thank you.